Hi there, thanks for joining us. In this video, we're going to be talking about the intra-company transferee startup option. If you own a company outside of Canada, you're looking to establish a branch in Canada and use that as a means to transfer an employee, be that yourself or somebody else, to Canada, there are some specific requirements that that company that's being established inside Canada must meet in order for it to be eligible to effect the employee transfer. And so we'll talk about that during this video. So please stay with us, don't go away. As always, remember to like our videos so others may see more videos like these. Subscribe to our channel so that you will be notified when new videos are published. And check us out on our website at go.gooselaw.com. I'll be right back. Welcome back. My name is Donovan Francis, and I'm a Canadian immigration lawyer, and I help skilled workers and businesses to navigate the Canadian immigration landscape without having to deal with all of the complicated immigration rules that are part of that process. In this video, I wanted to go through very quickly what the requirements are for a company, an international company that wants to establish a Canadian entity, a Canadian extension of itself, so that it may in turn use that new company to transfer employees to Canada, be that employee yourself as the owner of the business or some other employee. This is broadly referred to as the ICT startup, right? ICT, and ICT stands for intra-company transferees, okay? Intra-company transferees. And all it means is that there is this one company that has multiple branches, a branch in the home country and a branch in Canada, and it's going to be transferring an employee from the home country location to the Canadian location, right? So that's an ICT, intra-company transferee option. Now, that is typically an option where there is already a relationship. There is already a relationship between entities. So if there is a company in your home country and you've already created a branch or a subsidiary or an affiliate entity in Canada, then you already have things in place to effect the transfer of the employee. And of course, the employee needs to meet very specific requirements, which I've touched on in another video. But generally speaking, if you already have a branch inside Canada or a subsidiary inside Canada, you already have the structure in place to effect that transfer. But what if you don't yet have that structure in place? You know, what if you have a business outside of Canada that's doing well and you now want to create an entity inside Canada to allow for you to do that transfer? That is called a startup, okay? An ICT startup. And what it means is, in essence, you will first have to create the Canadian entity, and then only after creating it will you then be able to do the transfer. And there are some specific requirements that must be met in order for you to successfully effect the transfer after you've set up this Canadian entity. Because of course there's always going to be the risk that you could go ahead, create this Canadian entity, and then when you apply to have the work permit granted to your employee or to yourself so that the transfer can be effected, that work permit application may be refused, right? So you want to ensure that when you're setting up the new entity, that you would at least have ensured that it meets all of the requirements outlined in the guidelines. And so one of them is that you must have secured a physical premises for the Canadian branch that you'd have established. Meaning, once you've set up the Canadian branch, they need to have an address. Okay, and typically speaking, while it's good to have some kind of a physical address, you know, you may have leased premises or something like that, you don't absolutely have to lease premises. You know, it could be secured through one of those shared space arrangements. where you've secured an address through one of the shared space, one of the companies that offers some kind of a shared space arrangement, and that would be quite fine. But ultimately, you need to have a mailing address here that would be used in your application. And in some instances, you may be able to use the address of your lawyers. If it's a case where the employee you're sending here is going to be a senior manager, then or an executive, then you may be able to use the address of your counsel, of your lawyer. Okay, so that's important. Another important thing to bear in mind is that you need to include a business plan, and this business plan must show that you have realistic goals and objectives as far as staffing the new operation is concerned. Okay, you must be able to show that your new company will ultimately be employing Canadians to fill the roles that this new job will be creating. Because remember, ultimately you're applying to set up business in Canada, and so the authorities will want to know that Canadians will be benefiting before they go ahead and issue a work permit for you to come and work. So that's going to be important. The business plan must be robust enough, it must be detailed enough to convince the officers that the staffing plans entailed inside it are realistic. Okay. Another crucial element is that the business plan and the other supporting documentation that you'll be providing must show that the company has the requisite financial ability to start its business in Canada and to compensate the employees. So if you are arguing that by setting up this business, you will be transferring yourself as the main executive to come here and to operate this business inside Canada, then this new business that you've created inside Canada must be able to pay your salary, plus must also be able to offset whatever other operational costs you're likely to incur. Okay, so you must be able to show through your supporting documentation, through your tax filings from previous years for your company outside Canada, through your profit and loss documentation and account statements and so on, that your company has the right financial health to provide all the necessary funding necessary to offset the salary for employees, including yourself, if you yourself are being transferred. And this point is tied into that as well. The company must show that it can support an executive or managerial team or yourself or whichever employee is coming to Canada. All right, so those are going to be crucial. If the employee who is coming is not going to be a managerial employee, but rather what's defined as a specialized knowledge employee, meaning they have expertise in your company's proprietary tools and processes, and they have industry-specific experience. So when transferring a specialized worker, and a specialized worker is somebody who is an employee who is not a senior managerial employee, but rather an employee who has very specific proprietary knowledge about your company's proprietary tools, knowledge about your company's proprietary processes, and knowledge about very specific industry-specific experience. Where transferring such an employee, then the company is going to be required to show that it is expected to be doing business, and that the employee who is coming is going to be supervised by by management here at the Canadian operation. So those are going to be important things. Now, lastly, if the work permit application is successful, then after 1 year, there's going to be an assessment, an evaluation of how well the company has been meeting the objectives that would have been laid out in the business plan at the time when the startup, ICT startup application was initially made. And so it's going to be crucial that the company ensures that throughout the first year, that it is actually meeting all of what it said it would be doing in the business plan, because that's going to be crucial when the assessment is being made after the 1 year ends to determine whether or not the work permit should be extended, assuming that a work permit would have been issued. All right, so I trust you found value from this. As always, remember to like our videos, subscribe to our channel, and check us out on our website at go.gooselaw.com. Thanks, see you again.